spotlight on the women creating an impact, leading organizations, and mission-focused strategic programs across the federal technology and consulting community. This is Impact. I am being joined today by Stacy Noblet, the Vice President at ICF. Stacy, thank you for hopping on with us today.
Thank you so much.
Yes. First, tell me what it is you do over there at ICF.
Sure. Well, ICF is a global consulting firm. Much of our work is in the federal space. I've been lucky enough to be part of the clean transportation industry for my 20-year career at ICF. All alternative fuels, but these days I'm focusing mostly on transportation electrification. So a really exciting space.
So can you tell me, is there an experience or an event that you believe helped steer you down your current path?
I wouldn't say there was a single experience, probably more of a convergence. To start, I was born and raised in Dearborn, Michigan, home of Ford Motor Company, and just next door to the Motor City. So transportation's, I guess, kind of in my DNA. My family also spent a lot of time on the water, the Great Lakes, and I think that inspired a passion for sustainability early on. Members of my family would call me Miss Green Jeans because of my slight obsession with like recycling and conservation. So I pursued degrees in environmental studies and natural resource management. And while I didn't specifically pursue a career that kind of knit those threads together, that's actually what happened. I accepted a job at ICF supporting federal clean transportation programs. 20 years later, I've had a front seat to observe tremendous progress, including how far we've come in transportation electrification specifically.
Cool. So is there a leader or mentor that helped guide you along the way?
I'm lucky enough to have had multiple mentors over the course of my career. When I speak to other people or groups, I often describe my own personal executive board. Now, in my case, my board makeup has changed over time, but I tend to seek guidance from a range of perspectives. Some have been my manager, others are peers, several are experts in some part of the clean transportation industry. A few are professionals that I admire from afar as well. And perhaps not surprisingly, my board is comprised of nearly all women. This isn't to say I don't seek or value input from male colleagues and friends. I absolutely do. But it's so valuable to hear from others with that shared experience. So I've gotten great advice about, making a new role my own, for example. I've also sought validation on approaches to navigating my roles as both a business leader and a mother. So I've definitely had a lot of guidance along the way.
And it's great to have mentors in your professional life and your personal life.
Absolutely.
So do you have a pivotal moment or experience you believe helped shape your personal style and your leadership style?
For a long time, I felt like I needed to know and do everything myself. And I think it was partly because I was extremely comfortable with my corner of the transportation industry, having quite literally grown up supporting a certain set of federal programs. And then I was asked to share my experience and expertise with ICF's utility clients, those that are kind of exploring electric vehicle programs at the time. So it was a great opportunity to change things up after quite a few years at that point. And what I quickly realized was that it would be impossible to learn everything about the utility industry, but I have a very talented colleagues and teams of people who are extremely knowledgeable, so I call them. As a leader, I need to recognize my gaps and my weaknesses and seek to partner, with others rather than to fill those gaps on my own.
Do you find yourself at all to be a control freak that needs to feel like they have to oversee every single thing? Or are you getting so you're good at handing things off?
I've gotten better, certainly. I mean, I'm probably a stereotypical type A. I'm an Aries. I'm firstborn. I mean, I check all the boxes on those personas. But again, building really strong teams around me has been critical to be able to, feel really comfortable handing those off. And frankly, others can do it even better than I would have been able to by making it their own.
Great. I find I'm very much so a control freak as well. But I've realized, okay, I cannot do graphic design. I have to let that person, like there's some things that you just know somebody else could do it better.
That's
let
right.
them do it. You don't need to do everything.
That's right. Absolutely. And, it has given me an opportunity to maybe have pet projects along the way or things that I want to learn. But at the end of the day, there's only so many hours and so much energy that we can put into those side things. So having the network.
Have you seen the app. I think maybe it's called Masterclass, where you can learn a bunch of little things from different people. Have you tried that?
I haven't. The idea of micro learnings is really fascinating as I scroll through my phone in the evening and think, wow, I could really be using this time more wisely.
I signed up for it because they had a promotion where you could sign up for 12 months for quarter price or something. It was like some holiday promotion. It's actually really an interesting thing. I encourage people to check it out because you're not really necessarily learning a whole lot because you're only listening to, say, Chef Ramsay for 5 20-minute clips of him showing you how to do something. So you're obviously not going to make some master dish. But I mean, it's sort of cool to just learn from professionals and be inspired from them in just little many times.
Yeah, and we absorb something along the way.
Absolutely. So now how can we encourage more young women to aspire to be leaders and pursue careers that usually are male dominated?
Yeah, no, I've definitely, growing up in the transportation industry, I've attended propane conferences and be part of conversations around, medium and heavy duty vehicles. And I think certainly feel that kind of male dominated area. So supporting women regardless of age or level of experience is something that I'm definitely passionate about, both personally and professionally. I mean, I can certainly say with confidence that I wouldn't be where or who I am today if it wasn't for the friendships and the guidance of the women in my life. I'd say one fairly simple thing we can do to share our stories so that others can relate and hopefully learn from us. And thank you, Marianne, for providing a platform to not only share stories, but to celebrate the contributions that women have made. Another way is through organizations and affinity groups. I'm active in the Metro DC area chapter of Women of Electric Vehicles. We call ourselves WEVs. We organize networking and educational events, but probably more importantly, we provide a community for women working or aspiring to work in the transportation electrification space. And it's from this community that I often recommend speakers, for example, and more than a few of those women are true friends and allies to me.
Great. So now looking ahead, what do you envision for the future of women in leadership and what steps do you think we can take to accelerate that process?
Yeah, no, first, I think it's important to acknowledge and celebrate how far we've come. Speaking about women in leadership roles, we have more stellar examples today than ever and generally fewer obstacles in our way. I think the networks that I mentioned are critical, whether it's women-focused communities in the workplace like we have at ICF, or industry-based affinity groups like WEVs that I mentioned. These networks provide, safe spaces for conversations, resources, connections, and really just exposure to potential mentors and role models.
That's great. Was there anything else you want to add, Stacy?
No, just again, thank you for, your work, and the organization's work to kind of elevate the profile of women in leadership, give us a place, like I said, to celebrate and to connect. And I've recently heard the concept of third spaces. You have got home and you've got work, but we often need that third space to really connect with others and build a community. So certainly appreciate the opportunity to be part of it.
Great. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you're keeping up to date on the latest episodes and learn more at govforum.io.